guys, and welcome to another episode of Beards and Board Games with me, Georgie. Today I'm going to be reviewing Elder Sign. Heavy dice rolling game. It says on the side, a game of suspense and supernatural investigation from 1 to 8 players. It was released in 2011, designed by Richard Launius. I think we all know him already from Arkham Horror. I know there's quite a few out there that already own and play Arkham Horror. And Kevin Wilson, I think one of his most notable games, or a couple, would be co-designing the Game of Thrones board game with Christian. I forgot. Co-designing that game, designing Descent, Journeys in the Dark, not the second edition, the original edition. He was the designer of that game. Just in general, I mean, those two designers alone, those names combined, always triggers a sort of interest when you read their back catalogue and what they've designed previously. Anyway, back to this one. Heavy dice chucking game. Basic idea is to get into the rooms, get as much Elder Signs, Elder tokens as possible to close the gates to stop things like Hastur, Yig, Cthulhu himself coming out and devouring you, the planet, your family, your dog, your cat, your pet, your DVDs, your comics, your movies, just everything that you own gone to a Lovecraftian beast. Let's not let that happen. Let's go and have a look at Elder Sign.
So guys, this is how Elder Sign would be set up. I'll go through some of the cards and stuff a bit later on, in a bit closer detail once I've shown you basically how the mechanics of the game works. So, just playing this as a one player, I've just picked a character who is called Mandy Thompson. She starts off with one clue token. Clue token is the little footprints. They basically give you the ability to re-roll the dice at any point, just full re-roll rather than discarding the dice. If you've already discarded dice though, they stay discarded. The re-roll only counts towards the dice that you still have in your pool at that time. And she also starts off with one. I get confused with what the names of the cards are. I just start calling them by the images, so I'm going to call this a gun card. And that basically allows me to add the yellow dice to my dice pool when I go into a room, which you'll see here. Again, I'll go through the cards a bit sooner, a bit later on. Excuse me. You also start off with a... Well, I say start off, but you always basically fight a monster. This one, as you can see, is Azathoth. Usually, if you... when fighting a monster... when the monster's trying to awake, he's trying to... Basically, every time you lose... Or not every time you lose, but every time a character dies, or if it dictates on the cards in the losing field, which is in the red side of the cards, then, and sometimes even in the winning side of the cards, you will add a doom token to his doom track. Now his doom track is the thing on the little path on the right hand side here. When you add them, the more he adds, the closer he becomes to going awake. Every so often you'll see ones that just have green rather than the little orange image on the token. If it's one of the green symbols, that's a monster symbol, which means you would then draw a monster, which there's all sorts of them. I mean, for instance, there's a high priest, there's a hound of Tyndalis. There's also some Black Mask ones, which are Hunter of the Dark, but they only come out, I think, for one monster so far, unless there's any of the expansions. And there's also a pool of... Yeah, so basically, I'll continue with the monster. So once the Doom tokens get to the top, that's when the monster awakes. But with Azathoth, he doesn't so much... Well, he does awake, but usually you get to fight the monster by seeing his hit points, what it takes to hit him on a dice roll just below his image. But with Azathoth, as soon as he awakes, he ends. All the investigators lose. As it says, his attack. The end is near. Azathoth destroys the world. I didn't mean to draw that monster. That was just a random monster. But when you... Basically, once the Doom track fills up, like I said, once it gets totally full, that's when he awakes. And in this instance, I lose the game. In the other instance, you suffer the effects, and he attacks each investigator each turn you have. So the way the game actually works is you start off with a certain number of well, it's called Stamina and Sanity. Usual Cthulhu. If you lose sanity, you die, and if you run out of stamina, you die. So you've got to keep track of both. Especially when you're playing the game. That's basically it. Every character will have a special ability as well. This one's Mandy Thompson's is Research. Once per day after any player has rolled, Mandy may re-roll 2 dice before determining if the active player was able to complete a task. So that's quite good, to be honest. That's a really good one. So the way we stop Azathoth from awakening is by getting the number of Elder Signs, which is dictated in the middle of his card, the little blue symbol. In this instance is 14. Again, I'll show you the cards in a little bit more detail soon. Elder Signs are these tokens here. Little blue tokens with the Elder Signs on them. And the way you get them is by the winning factors that's on the card. So it's quite a simple mechanic, not too much going on, although the other thing that does happen is every time it's a player's turn, or it's another turn of some kind, the clock advances, and once it hits midnight, you always draw a midnight card. I forgot the actual name of them, as always, sorry. In this instance, be prepared. Add 1 Doom token to the Doom track, unless at least 1 investigator has a common item. So that might not be too hard to do. And for Living Nightmares, the next time the clock strikes midnight, 2 monsters appear. So that's the sort of lingering effect, this turn as they call it. So it's never good when it hits midnight. There's always, well, let's say it's never good. There's an occasional card where it's midnight, nothing happens, but not very often. In this instance, like I've said, I don't actually... Yes, I do have a common item just now. Okay, so I have a common item, so nothing happens. That's fine. I don't need to add it to the Doom track. I'm not going to show you a full playthrough. I'm just going to give you an example of how you would play the game just on a turn. So, on your turn, you would take your character. There's loads of little character tokens. Again, they're quite small. I would say one of my only downfalls with the game, I don't have many, but I do have a couple, is that some of the tokens are really small. Character tokens, Doom tokens, stamina, sanity, clue tokens. But other than that, well, I'll leave some more thoughts to my final review. But that's one negative. So I'll remember not to bring that up again. The way you sort of play the game is you say, right, so it's my turn. I want to go into what room, for example, this room, and the way you win the room, actually no, I'll go into this room. Oh, and I also forgot to mention, because there's a symbol in there with a red lock, that means that the red dice is locked, which means we can't actually add that to our dice pool just now. So as you can see, there's 2 skulls, a scroll, and a, well, it's a magnifying glass and a 3, but it's called investigator symbols. On your dice there are a 2 investigator symbols, 3 investigator symbol, a scroll, a terror, a skull, a 1 investigator symbol, and that's it. So that's what's on the green dice. There's a little bit more on the yellow and red dice. The yellow dice just has a 1, 3, and I think everything else is exactly the same. Oh no, it does not have a terror. Sorry, on the yellow dice, it doesn't have a terror, but it does have a 4 investigator symbol, which is the highest roll you can get. Also on the red dice, it has a wild, which means you can use it for any dice symbol, which could be a 4 or it could be a terror or anything. Also, but the red dice has the 4 investigator symbol as well on it, so it's quite good. Sorry about the cat making noise again there, demon. So, if I was to go in there, for example, I would roll dice on my turn. Oh, that spun quite a bit. So you can lock 1 dice to try and complete the task. On this instance, I didn't do very good. So I got a scroll. Because I didn't do it, I then have to discard a dice and then pick up the dice I have left. I still need a 3 investigator symbol, or 3 altogether, and 2 skulls. I will have 4 dice to do it. So that's not good. So then I have to discard another dice, because I can't lock any more dice. I can only lock 1 into the quest turn. So now I only have 3 dice to do it, and So look, okay, I did not do it, which means I will fail. On this symbol it says there's 2 sanity and 1 stamina, which means I lose 2 sanity and 1 stamina. Clock moves forward, turns go on. That's really how the turns progress. Next player goes. If your player dies, you get to draw another character card, but every time a player dies, add a token to the doom track. There's a couple other things that go to it, but that's really about it, to be honest. Now let me give you a closer look at some of the cards. Okay guys, now I thought I'd show you a closer look at some of the pieces. First of all, I thought I would just start. I know I was saying cards most of the time, but I thought I would show you the clock because it's a good little thing to have in the game. It just adds something, it helps you remember when the clock hits midnight, things like that. It's just a really good addition to the game, if you ask me. The midnight cards themselves are the mytho cards, so that's the ones you draw when the clock strikes midnight. So like I say, here's just one for example again. Add 1 doom token to the doom track. Next time the clock strikes midnight, 2 monsters appear. I think that's the one that I drew last time. Midnight, a monster appears. Amid the stillness, there is still no lingering. There is no lingering effect today. So again, that's quite a good card. We've got add 1 doom token to the doom track, or 2 monsters appear, so you can decide. And the next time the clock strikes midnight, each investigator gains 1 clue token. So that's actually a bit of a bonus. Not very often that happens. So that's some of the mythos cards there. This is where basically all your characters start. It's where you can go in and trade trophies. I'll explain how you get those in a minute. And there's also the search, lost and found, so you can search by rolling 1 green die, and if you roll any of these you can gain it. So this is just stuff you can do on your turn. And there's also receive first aid. Like you can see, you can actually spend your turn, pay 4 trophies to fully regain both your stamina and sanity. So yeah, that's just the starting place. So to me that looks like you're outside the building before you start. Speaking of the building, who's standing outside the building, and here's all the character cards. So there's Vincent Lee, who starts out. So oh yeah, I should maybe just go through as well. This is what you start with. So I did get a list of what the names of the items were, just to make things a bit easier. So the gun is a common item, and the book is a spell. So I'll go through those cards in a second. This is how much stamina you have at the start of the game, 5, and this is how much sanity you have, which is 5 also this one. And his special ability is Physician, which is for once per day he can start on any player's turn. At the start of any player's turn, Vincent may cause 1 investigator of his choice, including himself, to regain 1 stamina, so that's quite good. Like see 4 and 6 on that one, so they do change. Still another common item and a spell. Jenna Barnes, she's Trust Fund. At the start of her resolution phase, Jenna may discard 1 common item or clue token or spell to add the yellow or red dice, so that's quite good again. Harvey Walters, one of my favourite characters. Once per roll during his turn, Harvey may change 1 dice, showing a terror symbol to a scroll. Also starts off with a spell and a unique item, which is the sword symbol. Sister Mary, Ashkan Pete, Daryl Simmons. They've all, there's a lot of characters. If you go all the way through here, they go on and on and on. But it's because it goes up to 8 player as well, and when you die, you do get to pick. Well, you don't get to pick another. Well, you can pick, or you can, draw randomly. I kind of like to draw randomly just to mix it up. Also, one thing I would like to say is that's your character token. Very small again. Some of the small tokens that just can become a bit frustrating. So that's the character cards. These are the room cards, like I was showing you earlier, which is set up with the 6 in the middle above the thing. So, for example, here's one here. So at the top, you'll see it gives you a description, and then it's got a number here. The number here is how much trophies you gain, and this one's also got an at midnight effect, which is add 2 doom tokens to the doom track. And this is how you defeat it. As you can see, you have to roll a skull, a terror, scroll, and a skull. This is what causes the damage. And this is an elder sign and a unique item, so that's quite good. And all the again, the rooms have their own missions, and there's certain ways. There is only one other thing I would say about a room, and the arrows is the order that you have to do it in. So if there's an arrow on it, you have to do it from the top down, basically. And that's the only other thing I would say. There is one other thing I would say is you can That's they can lock dice, but so can monster tokens, like I showed you earlier, and all that as well, which can become quite annoying. The room tokens, it's not really room tokens, but when you find a portal symbol on a card, you draw one of these cards, which is a portal card, which just basically means it's another world card, which generally means you can win a lot of Elder Signs, but it can cause a lot of damage to you as well, as you can see. So 3 Elder Signs and an ally on that one, but it can cause 2 stamina and 2 damage, and it is quite hard. Sorry about the focus there, guys. It is quite hard to beat that card, because you would probably need about 5 dice at minimum anyway to do that. So, and there's a whole stack of those as well. Only other cards really to go through is the monster cards, second last ones, and that is, like, so there's Azathoth, so that's the amount of Elder Signs it takes to beat, and that's the amount of Doom tokens it takes to awaken them. And there's also Cthulhu, Ithaqua, excuse my pronunciation, Haster, so there is a whole bunch of other ones. And again, like I was saying earlier, there's a whole stack of all these cards that let you add dice, lock, that means you can lock a card, lock a dice, sorry, or there's a lot of those. Another one, after rolling, discard to defeat a monster, lock a dice. So the spells seem to be mainly lock a dice, and there's a lot of double, you can lock 2 dice on there as well. These are unique items, like I was saying earlier, and then we've, like this one is, before rolling, discard to fully restore stamina and sanity. Wow, that's quite a lot. After rolling, discard to defeat 1 monster, plus the red dice, plus the red dice, plus the red dice. So that's generally the theme that one takes there, and that's the unique items. Then you get your ally cards, which is something that's slightly different. So this one, like Rhodey Standish, place 2 unique items on Rhodey Standish when she joins you. She may use these items as if they were your own. So that's just basically you gain that. That's quite good. During your turn, ignore all stamina task requirements. So these are just things that linger with you, but they're generally pretty good. And then you get all the common items, which is mostly, like I showed you earlier, the yellow dice. It can heal you, it can do all that stuff. And that's really about it as far as the cards go. The other thing I would say is I really like the quality of the dice, and they're really good. And I'm about to get a cat attack again. Sorry, guys. Other than that, let's go and see basically what I thought about Elder Sign.
So guys, what did I think of Elder Sign overall? I thought it was amazing. I love the game, I love rolling the dice, I love playing it, well, it's a co-op game, but I love co-op games anyway. The strategy is, I always find dice rolling strategies a bit strange, because it's a 1 in 6 chance of whatever you're looking for all the time, so there is always a huge amount of chance, but it's still a really, really awesome game. You still have to think about what rooms you're going to go into, not wanting to take sanity damage, not wanting to take stamina damage, but also wanting to gain Elder tokens, using your abilities to gain extra powers, unique items, allies, things like that. It's just a really, really fun game. There's a lot of theme going on here with the monsters, the characters, the terror signs, the monsters coming out at midnight, the clock ticking away. There's just so much theme. It's awesome. Really, really love it. To be honest, I would go as far to say it's one of my favourite heavy dice games. I would say, a game that sort of revolves around throwing dice. Along with one of my other favourites that I played very recently, which was Bang the Dice game. That seems to have jumped quite high up on the list, which I'll be reviewing soon also. But yeah, as far as Elder Sign goes, really love the game. Really love the artwork. Really, really, really love the feel of the dice, and the feel of the cards. Everything's of quite high, quite high quality of typical Fantasy Flight games. To be honest, I guess there is downsides to every game, and in this game it would probably be that some of the monsters or the gods, or anyway, if they awake or when they come out, the chances of you being able to kill them if you're only playing at 1 or 2 player is really slim. I mean, if you don't have this card, this card, this card, every player doesn't have all 3 of these cards when one of them comes out. can't remember which one that is, but you're devoured. So you die as soon as he awakes, and there isn't that much Doom tokens on his one, but there is a lot of monsters that come out all the time. So there's definitely different difficulty levels, it seems, of the cards. I've never really looked into it to see if there's if somebody's ever sort of quantified easy, normal, and hard, or legendary even. But it would be something that I'd be interested in checking out. If any of you know anything about it, certainly let me know. That reminds me also though, Arkham Horror and Eldritch Horror. What do you guys think? I mean, what do you guys prefer? Is there... I know a lot of the Cult of the Old really prefer Arkham Horror, but then I know a lot of people who Eldritch Horror came out and just totally replaced it for them. When I say totally replaced it, they don't even look at Arkham Horror anymore. It's not even a thought in their mind because they'll just play Eldritch Horror, and that's that. So let me know what you think about that as well, guys. Anyway, thanks for watching another episode of Beards and Board Games with me, Georgie. Don't forget to like, comment and subscribe. Catch you guys later.